In exercise 103, we look at inflation and appreciation, just as the name of the exercise says. Now, what these are just real-life examples of the application of the future value formula. For something to appreciate, it increases in value. If we talk about the inflation of some item, then we're talking about it increasing in its price as well. Now, both, like I said, both inflation and appreciation can be calculated by using the future value formula. So we've looked at the future value formula. We know things like the future value formula was previously known as the compound interest formula. It's better to be called future value because that's actually what it does give. It gives you the future value if you substitute into this part of your equation. However, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4 variables, and this formula could be used to calculate any one of those. So obviously, if we know the present value and the rate of inflation or appreciation and the time frame over which we want to look at that item increasing in value, then we can work out its future value. However, if we all knew the future value, then, and we knew the rate and the time, we could work out the present value, or likewise change up any of those. We can work out a particular variable that's actually in this equation. Example 7 says, a new car costs $38,990 today. If inflation remains constant at 2.4%, what will be the price of a new car in 4 years' time, rounded to the nearest dollar? So we know that we expect that whatever we pay for a brand new car now, we would expect that when we go to buy one to replace that in years to come, then it will cost more. Not the value of my car, but the value of the new car will be more. So let's just follow our normal problem-solving techniques of underlining obvious numbers, underlining the question, and then translating that mathematically. If it costs $38,999 today, that is the present value. Now we're making this look much more mathematical. If the inflation remains constant, this is a percentage. That's clearly the rate, 2.4% per annum. We know that we have to convert that to a decimal, and to do that you divide it by 100 or move the decimal point back 2 places. That's per year. The next few words give us the actual question. What will be the price of a new car? So find the price in the future value of the car, and the time is 4 years. We do know that the time and the rate have to be in the same units, which they are, and it does say round to the nearest dollar. So you can see I've written my formula. We're finding the future value. We've put in the present value number times 1 plus r. Just put a 1 in front of your r to the n, and n is 4 years. If I go to my calculator, you can see I've done just exactly that using my calculator, and you get 42,879.85. Now the question did say to the nearest dollar. If you're cutting off 85 cents, you know that you would round up, and from 79 to So we would expect to pay $42,880 in 4 years' time to replace this car with a brand new one. Example 8. So now just following our problem-solving techniques, which are that when we've got a worded problem, we go through and we read it and highlight the important features of the question. It says the current price of a magazine is $7.20. Calculate its price, those words are telling us what the question wants, 10 years ago. If the inflation rate was 2.8% during this time, round your answer up to the nearest 5 cents. You can see I've underlined the important features. It's a little bit interesting that it says the current price is $7.20, however it wants the price from 10 years ago. Well, that actually, we always follow our timeline of whatever is oldest in terms of the question, and in this case it was 10 years ago, so it'll be naught, and 10 years later we're up to now, and the price of the magazine is $7.20. Now for our formula, we call this the present value and that the future value. It's almost like we've got to go back in time and imagine we're here saying, well, I don't know how much the magazine is, but I do know that in 10 years' time the magazine is $7.20. So let's write up our what our numbers represent now, and we'll have, it's actually future value is $7.20. Find its price 10 years ago, would have been its present value, when the rate was 2.8% per annum, and we know we'll convert that to a decimal by moving a decimal point back 2 places, and round your answer to the nearest 5 cents. We need to write up our formula. Future value is present value, 1 plus r to the n. We know that after the period of time it was $7.20. We don't know the price that it was at that stage, but we do know that the interest rate was this as a constant, which would be very unusual, by the way, over 10 years. At some stage I should have written n is equal to 10. So you can see I've gone to my calculator, I've put those in. The calculation you can see on the calculator, and I'll get that back in a minute, has come from wanting to get the present value all by itself, so we need to divide both sides by this 1.028 to the 10. Having a look at the calculator, can you see the convenience of this new calculator and the fraction, in that you can use a decimal inside a fraction, and inside the fraction another complication is to raise it to a power. Calculator copes with all of that and gives us that the price must have been $5.462. Let me write that. The value is 462. Is that it? No, 5.462. Now we don't write our money to 3DP plus the additional instruction that we give this to the nearest 5 cents. So it would be $5.45. The value 10 years previously. Now in this example 9, nothing different really in terms of how we're going to use our formula. It's just how we're going to round the answer, I think, is really the only reason for including this example. It says Jackie bought a block of land for $542,500 and it appreciated. There's a lot of hints here. It appreciated. The moment you see that word, hopefully you'll make a connection to this exercise because its name is appreciation, and you will realise you'll get to make the connection between appreciation and the future value formula. The rate obviously is going to be important. The question says calculate its value, that is find the future value. 3 years later, round to the nearest $100. There's quite a bit to note and write up mathematically, so I'll pause the video and do that and come back and talk about it. And so you can see using the future value formula and translated those highlighted features into mathematical terms. Subbing into the formula, we're finding the future value. Subbing in, going to the calculator, you get this answer, 655,312.67. We don't leave it at that because the question actually said give it to the nearest 100. So I've got to look at this number. So 312 to the nearest 100 would just be straight 300. So the block of land in 3 years' time would be valued at $655,300. I think you should be right to, hopefully you've been building your summary as you've been going, pausing the video, building your summary, like I demonstrated in class the other day when we watched the video. So this is not something that you are spending any time at now. You've already got your key points written up and you are ready to do the questions from 103.